Do not sit down and shut up. I repeat, do not sit down and shut up. Now, so I think there's a line between having discernment and letting people walk all over you, or even to the point where you don't say anything, you don't let people get to know you. I think that's also something that's detrimental. These things were very pertinent to me. My ability to make everyone feel at ease. My ability to always be the person who everyone likes, who no one has a problem with. To be as likable as I can be. Because I maybe fear that somehow deep down, a settling thought that I had would have somebody disagree with me, or would make someone disagree with me, and that would be the end all be all of everything. Like, I would not be able to go on if somebody was just so mean to me, or somebody just did not agree with me. So I shut up. I think my mom has done the same thing, but somehow in an opposite way. That she doesn't want people to disagree with her, because when they do, she gets volatile, she gets yelling. You know? So maybe I inhabited that, inhibited, I think it's inhabited, that same principle within myself, but in the opposite way. That instead of me getting angry every time somebody says something I disagree with, I just be quiet. I don't say anything. I smush myself, because maybe I think I'll do the same thing to other people, or that people will do that thing to me. And if I disagree with them, then they'll have an argument with me. So instead, I make myself feel small. I make myself feel really, really fucking small. Honey, I shrunk the kids small, and allowed my voice to get quieter and quieter. That's not okay within me. Impress myself to be something greater. That's me yelling at myself because I allowed the hypothetical opinions of other people to suppress my emotions, to suppress me, what I think. And sometimes I think I've diminished thoughts to be so small, because once upon a time they were like overly big, overwhelming. So instead of learning how to deal with that tide, that big wave, that rush of things, I hid from the wave. I decided to stop surfing. I decided to stop doing the thing that made me who I am. I decided to stop speaking. I decided to hide, because it was safer than possibly being hit by that big wave. Because escaping and surviving was better than failing, or trial and error and existing. Really living. I think when you shut yourself up and you force yourself into a box that you are not meant to be in, it dims you. It dims your light. It dims your personality and the things that make you you. I think there are so many things in life that we must discover on our own about ourselves. But somebody please tell me the balance between being yourself and exploring at the same time, because you're going to try different things, and you may not always do those things alone. So the people that you have met as you are, as the person that you are, whether that's really you or not, once you start venturing out and trying things, and you maybe want to try that with another person that's in your circle, maybe from your past life, or your current life, anything. I fear how most people will react when I try different things. If I be different, so then I decide, okay, it's better if I have nobody around to try it. around so that I have no room for anybody to say anything to me. See, that's that hiding. That's that hiding. That's that sitting down and shutting up. And maybe I don't think about it as that in the moment, but it is. It's in addition to that. It's finding a space to crawl under, hide, then sitting down and shutting up all the way in the back corner where nobody even can see that I'm having trouble. Do not shrink yourself. Be as authentic as the world makes you. Be everything that you are supposed to be in this life. Try every single passion, every single hobby that you've ever wanted to in life. That's what this is for. That's what this time is about. And especially in my 20s, I am just now discovering life outside the parameters of an authority figure. This is when it's really just me. You're supposed to build a support circle, a family outside of your family, friends, colleagues, the people that like are around your age, like your friends. We're supposed to figure out and change and try and fail and try again and have a bump in the road or two. Maybe even have something that sits you all the way down. But that's what's the saying? That's a major setback, setting up for a major comeback or something. Yeah. Major setback equals major come up in my book. Okay, because once you slow down, you can't even get nowhere but up. You can't even go. You cannot go nowhere but up. You know, there's a point in time where you will reach the bottom of the bottom pits and everything, like rock bottom, and you're gonna be like, damn, like there's gonna be a turning point. There's gonna be, I can't do this no more. There's gonna be I have to take some sort of agency and do what I'm supposed to do in this moment. Know what I know I'm supposed to do. Okay? So I just think that there are things that each of us are supposed to be doing in this lifetime. And how do we figure out these things? How do we figure out these things? We figure out these things by asking ourselves, what do we want? And more often than not, the answer is right in front of your face. More often than not, that answer is right in front of your face, but there are barriers to it. There are fears, there are obstacles that stop you from going there. You got to do it. You got to go. You have to ask yourself, excuse me, who are you on the inside? Without all the noise of others' voices and opinions. Who are you underneath all of that? Ask yourself, does that person on the inside shine, or do you hide the parts of yourself that are less acceptable? Then, if that answer is hide, the follow-up question is, who shushed you? And why did you allow it? Who made you quiet? And why did you take it? Get to the root of what hinders you, what closes your throat, your voice, what draws up that in your throat when you want to say something, and that voice in your head says, swallow it. Who did that? Why did you allow that? Once you figure that out, I want you to ask yourself, where do you go from here? How do you unlearn the words that made you mute? How do you unlearn the things in your life that are detrimental habits? How do you stop those voices that tell you you're not good enough, that you can't do a certain thing, that something is too far out of your reach? It's formed externally. that lets you know that. That's a starting point. But it's a big spot to get to. That's one step, that's a big step. And I've learned you have to praise yourself for the little steps. Those little steps make that big thing that you did. You took one step after another and you made it to where you were. You didn't just jump and leap, and that was that. You have to take those little wins, celebrate them. But a big part of recognizing these things is, a big part of unlearning these things is recognizing that you've been wrong in the first place. So many people in this life live in denial because they feel it's out of their control and they can't do anything about it, that it is just in their nature and it is how they are. And I can relate to that to some extent, because sometimes life does get overly stressful and I have to compartmentalize and I have to focus on the things that are, sometimes I have to compartmentalize and not focus on the things that are really, really bothering me. Sometimes I have to show up at work or at a social gathering or at a family gathering or something, Sometimes I have to be there and present in that moment, but I have something going on. But I have something that's filling my head, something that is so big to me, but not big to anyone else, really. How do you deal with that? Getting to the unlearning part of things is hard. That comes after recognizing, and then you get to the core. You get to the real you. You get to the beautiful you, the raw you that is itself unapologetically. You get to the you that is you. Not the you that you think society wants you to be or that your friends and family want you to be. Not the you that is conventional and likable. The you that is you. No matter if any of those things drop out with it. I see the true you as a navigator for aligned experiences. And let me break that down. I feel like you only get to where you're going, the relationships that you are supposed to have, the opportunities you're supposed to be in, when you are where you're supposed to be, when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I feel like you attract things at your frequency. That means if you are inserting yourself in the wrong areas, if you are doing the wrong things with your time, your habits, your routines, if you are doing things that don't really align with you and you know it, either whether it's subconscious or conscious, you attract things at your frequency. They come to you when they're supposed to, when you're ready to receive those things. And if you're not ready, I don't think God gives you those things yet. So if you are given that, you're ready. And if you're not, it's okay. Keep waiting patiently, because it will come. Maybe you just need to have a little bit more time, a little bit more patience in your heart. I believe the things that you bring into your life consciously and unconsciously affect the places that you put yourself in, the people that you surround yourself with. They influence you more than you know. They influence you to make decisions. They influence your thought habits, your thinking patterns, your ways of relationships. They do a little bit of everything. They find their way into your life at every turn. So misaligned things are not only misaligned, but they're dangerous. You're going to mindlessly get someplace where you didn't actually think you were going or want to go. I feel that's important once you get to a certain age. But when you're younger, I don't know, free for all. I was a little too structured in my upbringing, so I was bad, but I was also sheltered. We'll never know. But that's acknowledgement. And then after that, or I try to intentionally implement that thought pattern into my head to know my limits and to exercise them appropriately, even if it's not at the, I guess, appropriate age, to still give myself the experiences that I desire, even if it's too late, or, society says it's too late. It's never too late. Your inner kid is important. See, I allowed myself to be silenced in a home with family, and it broke me. It broke my spirit. It stripped my happiness. And she talked about your source of self-regard. And is that internal or external for you? Do you get your sense of self externally by way of other people's influences? Answer is more in that pushing yourself in a mindless job, something that is unfulfilling for me, does not work. The monetary gain isn't enough for me to sustain. Bars. I had to learn that happiness isn't in short supply, that it's endless, and it's what you make it. There's a part of you that can turn off your happiness or your overexcitement or really just your inner kid inside. And I think I've turned mine off too many times by fear and acceptance. I think many things have influenced me to be quiet, to shrink, to stay small, to not speak up, because it felt so much more convenient if I didn't say anything. My partner sometimes talks about seeing my inner child in conversations or something silly that I do. And I think it's beautiful because that's it's a natural surface, like a natural resurfacement of my inner kid. But you have to allow yourself to feel those things when they come up, because you can't control you can control yourself and your reactions, but you can't control your feelings and how you feel about certain things. So if I keep pushing my little inner kid down, she'll learn to not come out anymore. That you can't be a big kid all of your life. So many of us, knowingly or unknowingly, suppress those things that make us bright inside. Suppress those things that make us ourselves. Suppress those things that makes us happy. And we go to the dopamine, the fake dopamine that adults love to have. See, adults don't like to color anymore. They don't like to go for walks. They don't like to sit outside and look at the sun and watch birds or something. I don't know if that's serotonin or dopamine, but we get that from smoking weed, drinking, doing the things that are socially acceptable at this age. But is it detrimental to us in the long run? I think so, for me. Go inward and ask yourself if you love life right now. And then ask yourself, even if that is big. Because I think I'm a big person. You never know, because I hide it. But I think I'm a big person inside, emotions and whatnot. You are not a victim. You are a survivor. It just takes a little reframing. So take these things that I have said to you and make yourself a life that is comfortable. And don't be afraid to try again. It's never too late to become you. Until next time, your ray of sunshine is out. Good night, everybody.